94 miles north of the Scottish mainland, where the blustery Atlantic meets the North Sea, lies Shetland, an archipelago of some 100 islands, mostly uninhabited. Until the late 15th century, they belonged to Scandinavia, and being closer to Bergen than Edinburgh, the islanders remain proud of their Norse heritage. Recently, new industries have swept in, supplementing the island's crofting and seafaring heritage. The most northerly island is Unst, where locals mix tradition with innovation to survive in a fast-changing world. At this time of year, the days are long and the waters are calm.
18 pounds.
So the anglers take to the sea for the annual fishing competition.
I don't think we're going to get for the most unfortunate catch, but that's near it, I would think.
And David Cooper joins forces with his friend Episcopal minister Neil Bryce in a unique island remembrance.
Hear us as we pray for those who work at sea.
This wasn't a traditional church service, it was very much a community event, and community and the sea just run deep.
Surrounded by the sea, boats have always played a big part in island life. And fishing has been the lifeblood of island communities like Unst for generations. Salted cod and herring provided much-needed protein for the crofters to get through the lean winter months. Although the large herring fleets are a thing of the past, the annual Norwich Ela fishing competition is a chance to honour that heritage, bringing local fishermen and families together.
Hi, here I am. Never worry, new, I'm here.
Desley Stickle, herself a keen angler, is lending a hand.
Just putting up the marquee ready for the Norwich Ela fishing competition tomorrow. They used to go fishing off in their boats in the olden days. That was where they got their food from, obviously. But they've just sort of started again. I think 10 or 15 years ago it started again, just a competition just off the beach here.
Master of ceremonies and organiser of the event is Charlie Priest.
And we thought that we'd just have a Ela competition, just 3 boats, small boats. It could be 4-inch, we call them. And everybody enjoys themselves, from old to young, bairns and all, they all take part here. Yeah, I'm just holding up the whole lot key on my ear.
All the boats have 4 hours to see who can catch the biggest fish, the most variety of species, and the largest catch by weight. And bragging rights are fiercely contested.
Well, there's a bit of a rush to the start. Well, we try and get there before them, but it never really works like that.
With 17 boats, all armed with tackle and bait, and some of them with the confidence that they know where the best cod beds lie, it's time to line up for the gun. Not long ago, small fishing boats like these would have also been used to travel and trade between the islands. Today, the 11 car ferries that serve the Shetland Islands are the lifeblood of Unst, keeping the economy going through all the treacherous weather the Atlantic throws at them.
What horsepower have we got?
The two main engines is 600 horsepower each.
Wow.
Someone who relies heavily on the ferry timetables running smoothly is Minister David Cooper, who's taking the 9 o'clock ferry to his church service on Unst from the neighbouring island of Yell.
I watch you every day from the window at the manse, and the route across here is never ruler straight, is it?
No. There's a lot of tide that runs here, especially in the winter when you got a few gales blowing.
Yep.
And you get quite a lot of sea coming in here. So.
Can I nip in this magic seat?
Yes, you can have a quick seat in there if you want.
It really is a remarkable view. Here we are, I'm touching nothing and the boat is still going.
We're on autopilot there, so...
Yes, you better say it, just so that's the official view.
Yeah.
The sea, of course, provides a living for so many people, and it's still the case that fish is the largest part of the local economy, and all of the related trades like transport and the ferries and everything else, very important for us.
To commemorate Unst's seafaring past, David is hatching a plan with the Episcopal minister on the capital of mainland, Lerwick, the Reverend Neil Bryce.
Hello, this is Neil.
Neil also has a small parish on the neighbouring island of Yell.
No, that's fine. No problem at all. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Me and David are both great friends with each other, but we hardly ever share services.
The proposed venue for the joint service event is the Boathaven Museum in Haroldswick, a treasure trove of seafaring memorabilia looked after by volunteer Frida Gray.
Hi, Frida.
Hello,
How are you?
welcome
Nice to
to
see
the
you.
Boathaven.
Thanks very
See
much.
you.
Yeah, it's good to be here. This is a good space.
It's more of an act of remembrance than a service. So this is ideal. It's perfect.
At the turn of the 20th century, Unst was home to one of the largest herring fleets in Europe.
Can you imagine? I mean, this looks pretty big in here, but out on the ocean,
6 or 7 men in here, miles out at sea. It still is today the most dangerous occupation. Here's a list of some of the names that we should be remembering. And it's clear from this list there's whole families that die at any one time, leaving a widow and 4 children under 14, sons, and it still goes on. So I wanted to be able to have a time when the community can come together and just remember them. What's this?
That's
Back in the day, during the heron season, the population swelled from 2,000 to a staggering 10,000 people.
when you look at the bay today, you can't quite picture what it would have been like at the height of the herring industry here. 700 boats going out of the bay to start fishing on a Monday morning. These were built for the gutter lasses when they came up for the herring. And then there would be the farling, the containers where the gutter girls would do the gutting. And they had to work really fast because they were paid per barrel. You had fish oil and scales on your skin and you basically fried. No suntan lotion or that kind of thing in those days. So quite harsh conditions sometimes for them.
After World War I, the trade declined, and by the 1930s the industry had vanished. With Unt's chief source of income gone, islanders have continually had to find new ways to glean a living.
Always amazes me that Unst keeps going. They're sturdy people, they get on with it through different seasons and different economic times, and they just make the best of whatever's going and get on with it.
As well as a passion for recreational fishing, Charlie Priest has a commercial interest too. He and his brother Bertie run a salmon hatchery at their croft in Score, Britain's most northerly house.
The organic Atlantic salmon, and we got them as eggs in February this year.
It takes 6 months for each salmon to grow 8 centimeters long, which they then sell on to the nearby salmon fishery. Just another of the many enterprises that sustain their traditional crofting lifestyle. The twin brothers have come up with an ingenious way to supply a constant flow of fresh water to their farm of fish. They use the peaty burn running off their hill next to the house.
No pumping of water here, all gravity fed. Yeah, the water coming in this end of the hatchery, feeding all the tanks, and then everything out the tanks goes out this end. So no recycling whatsoever, no. It's clean water the whole time. It has to be that way for being organic.
Another business to rise from the ashes of the former fishing trade is the new gin distillery, based at Saxe Voord Hangar, the former RAF station that closed in 2006.
I think gin's becoming more popular, and I've heard that there's more gin produced in Scotland than anywhere else in the world, different gins. Here's the gin still. It's probably a small still as things go, but you've got to start small to progress big. Everything's done by hand. Labelling's done by Luke, by hand. The tops are normally done by Luke, by hand.
In the crowded gin market, swamped with new distilleries popping up every month, they're attempting to create a unique selling point. Mark Turnbull, the chief distiller, has been working to conjure up a distinctive Shetland taste, locally grown apple mint.
The hardest thing is the apple mint. That's the key ingredients. That's what's locally grown and unced, and that's what gives it its unique taste. As you can see, it's very light, so to get 100 grams for a bottle in, you need quite a lot. And it needs a bit of a breeze and a bit of sunlight. But Sarah McBurney, she's the expert. She's the expert. We would start panicking if Sarah told us she couldn't get any more.
Sarah McBurney, who supplies the local hotel with fresh produce, is hoping she can provide the distillery with the required amount of dried apple mint.
I did actually harvest this the other day, although it's coming on again now. With a couple of days of sunshine, it would just be so good if the sun would come and stay. Now, this is a key ingredient, so as demand grows for the gin, we need to actually be able to produce lots and lots and lots and lots of apple mint. But it's having a hard time spreading this year, I'm afraid, and demand is growing.
Growing anything in the harsh Shetland environment means that most of Sarah's vegetables have to be grown in her polytunnel.
The idea is that I try and produce fresh produce. This year has been pretty difficult because the weather's been so cold and wet and miserable and grey. Nothing's doing as well as it should. Normally, by June, there would just be greenery everywhere. The plants would be up here, the cucumbers would be up to the tops of these nets, and it would just be a complete curtain of green. So the fact that it's completely visible right the way through is quite amazing. It's probably the first year that this has happened, and I've been growing things in this polytunnel now this is the 5th summer. I'm not very impressed with the weather this year. It's been really, really bad. Not growing weather.
Another person who knows how unforgiving the Shetland climate is for any plant to thrive in is 82-year-old David Edmonston.
Oh, nearly. Oh. Maybe it doesn't need choke, actually. It's a warm day. No, I'm afraid I'm not a dedicated gardener. Don't ask me about gardening, because I can't tell you anything other than a rose or a daisy.
But David's great-great-grandfather did know his plants.
There we are. This is Thomas, born in 1825. Between the age of 8 and 12, he travelled around Shetland, staying with various people, and he completely categorized all the plants. And he called the flora and fauna, I think, of Shetland.
Thomas the botanist made one floral discovery in particular. It's one of the rarest plants in Britain, known as Shetland's mouse ear, or more affectionately, Edmonton's chickweed.
There's the chickweed. It can be confused with a daisy, I expect. It's a bit bigger than a daisy, but quite startling when you see them. You know, they really stand out. The chickweed only grows here. It doesn't grow anywhere else. It only grows in Unst on the Keen of Hammer. But the thing is, it does not like good soil. It's a pretty tenacious plant. Thomas, the botanist, was obviously an infant prodigy. We shared the same great-great-grandfather. So he was no fool, that man.
And then next to Thomas is the tiger.
Oh, the tiger, yeah. That's a man-eater. When small children come, oh, can I see the tiger? And they climb up the stairs, and then they see this jar, and they're sort of cringing. And you have to say, it's all right, it's not going to hurt you. Yeah, it's rather fun, actually.
Back at Saxe Vord, a much-awaited package has arrived for Sarah, so she can progress with the mass production of apple mint required by the gin distillery.
Aha, at last. It certainly does look heavy.
Doing the heavy lifting is handyman Mark Sammy Samuels.
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for turning up.
Yeah. It's a delight when it finally arrives.
So should we take it over by the grass?
What we really need, yes, we really need to open it out because we need to concertina it. Now, it has an inside and an outside. So if we open it right out...
This is going to be fun.
In order that we can grow more apple mint for the gin, we need a growing area. We have to withstand 100-mile-an-hour winds through the winter, so any polytunnels on Shetland have to be very, very well protected, reinforced, battened down to the nth degree.
So what do you want to do? You want to take this over
we'll
and
take
batten?
the whole lot over, and then we can batten that side,
right,
and then fix
and then
this
we can
on.
put... Right,
Yeah.
got you. OK, I like you, Sarah. That sounds really good.
That's it.
Use your height, Sarah.
I haven't got any.
As well as being a top handyman, Sammy is a former national judo champion. But he's no match for Sarah.
Pull it this way. Get that corner and pull it as tight as you can.
Yes, ma'am. I just do as I'm told.
Good man. It's the sort of man I like.
Happy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Couldn't be any better. Oh, this might be the best one ever.
I'm going to have to sleep in here tonight just in case your note doesn't blow away.
Back at Norwich Beach, the fishing boats are returning home. The 4-hour competition is over, and it's time for the all-important weigh-in.
1, 2, 3, up!
Got all this, all the politics and then we got Lewis and we got mackerel and the flukes we got. There are 2 flukes in the Louise, were they? Yeah. That's a bigger one. That's a kind of a bigger lure that we got. I don't think we're going to get for the most unfortunate catch, but we'll that's near it, I would think.
Small fish, a lot of small fish, but 5 species, yeah, and a haddock, so. But no, it didn't go very well.
Right, empty it in and see what they weighs. See how big one here. We'll weigh this one up first. Yeah, we'll put them in.
Get them weighed first.
Uh-huh.
Whoops.
18 pounds. Empty
The west side of it.
Exactly 18 pounds.
Catch my limit.
People that doesn't fish just comes up here and fishes this competition. People that never fished in their life. And I mean, the people on the barbecue here, they come up from England every year just to do the barbecue.
So I came here, 18-month tour by myself, and since leaving there, we've been back every year for the last 21 years on holiday. Haven't missed a year. Who's that? A burger. What brings me back? The peace and quiet. The friendliness and the people. They're so genuine. So nice. Hello, Colin. How are you, sir? All right. Nice to see you again. How are you, mate? All right.
Oh no, my horns knocked over.
Yeah, you're a gentleman.
With the fish all weighed and gutted, it's time for the much-awaited prize giving. Master of ceremonies is competition organiser Charlie Priest.
To begin, we were going to present the prizes for Nargila 2015. So we had a tremendous day. We start with juniors to begin with Archie Mode with £30, 50 Archie Mode. The second prize was Sam Chimison. To the heaviest basket, get the Jordan Johnson, 37 pounds. When we have different, for the heaviest basket, heaviest fish, and the most species, for the most flukes on the fluke line, yeah, prize for everybody. But it's a very kind of social day. I mean, you have a lot of fun. The second heaviest basket, get the one on the Aussie Moor. The best fluke line was Lila Smith. And the most deserved competitor we had was Craig Thompson.
Broke my leg, and they all helped me get on board the boat. They all helped me take my heart. And then when I got ashore, Well, they rewarded me, so I'm just happy for that.
Last one was the best overall boat today was a Fram. The skipper was Albert Priest.
The main prize of the day goes to none other than Charlie's older brother, Albert Priest.
Brilliant fun. You couldn't hit this anywhere else. Brilliant.
At the Shetland Real Distillery, Sarah has a delivery for manager Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Sarah.
Guess what?
Applement.
Yep. There you go.
Looks good. Quite a lot there.
It's not doing too badly.
Smells great, doesn't it?
I know. How's the gin coming along?
It's absolutely flying off the shelf, Sarah.
Good.
It's
I'm
been
pleased to hear it.
brilliant, brilliant. It's doing that well. We're actually thinking about getting like another flavour on the go. We've not made up our mind yet, but we've been experimenting.
Oh,
and
right.
and we're
So
thinking
I'm not
about
allowed
it.
to know what it is then. Yet.
Not yet, but you'll be the first to know when they decide.
Happy distilling.
Yep.
With demand for the Unst gin going well, Mark has come up with an idea to create another gin flavour using a different local ingredient.
He's looking at something completely different. It did come as a surprise. The ingredient that he's asked for is a new one to me. It wasn't one that I would have thought of. He's asked for seaweed. Seaweed. I was expecting a different type of herb, but no, seaweed. It's quite ingenious. It's actually a really good idea. Well, it just grows, doesn't it? It's not something that's got to grow because of the sunshine. It just grows in the sea. We'll probably make it special to us. The fact that we've no more than a couple of miles from the sea in any direction. Well, the next step would simply be to go and get some of the type of seaweed they're looking for, and then they can do some trials, because that has to happen first. They have to work out how much they need, you know, how much they're going to have to add to give it that sea tang, because it's going to be a taste of the sea that you're going to add to the gin. And that should be very interesting. New gin, new name, new product. So, better go and find some seaweed.
In the heart of Haroldswick, At the Boathaven Museum, it's the day of the Sea Sunday service.
Welcome.
With most families having a family member, colleague or neighbour lost at sea in the not-so-distant past, it's no surprise there's a strong turnout.
Far exceeded the expectations as far as numbers are concerned. I printed 50 sheets for people to have, and we were well over 100. Marine industry here is one of the largest, whether they're going fishing or whether they're dealing with the boats and the engines and all those sort of things. So it's very, very much the heart of what Shetland's about.
Ecumenical services like these are common events in Shetland, as it brings people together from neighbouring islands and all the different churches. Joining Neil Bryce, the visiting Episcopal minister, is David Cooper.
It is marvellous to see you all here. We are in the most, if you pardon the expression, most heavenly place for this commemoration. Our islands live with the daily reminder that the sea is often a dangerous and unpredictable place.
Hear us as we pray for those who work at sea, and give us thankful hearts for the risks they face for our well-being and sustenance.
James Williams, Thomas Williams, Martin Ramsey,
Carl Anderson, Norman Gray, Barry Sutherland,
John Sutherland, William Williamson, John Henderson, Peter Johnson, Peter Matheson.
Across the islands there are memorials to men lost at sea. This community of Unst has had its share. They were families, fathers, sons, uncles, nephews, and the local community responded by caring for those who were left widowed and orphaned. And that's why the commemoration is still important today.
My two brothers-in-law were lost from their creel boat. It affects the whole community. Everybody here who's local knows the families affected. They know the men. We know the men who were lost. A reflection of their support was the number of people who are here today. Yes. Because they all knew these men too. So it's a strong community anyway, and that's why everybody supports each other and pulls together.
This wasn't a traditional church service. It was very much a community event, and community and the sea just run deep.
In the days to come, the 140-year-old agricultural show gets the competitive juices going.
My knitting is very amateurish, so I have to do quirky things like this.
One of the amazing features of these older people is just how competitive they are.
Frank and Jem spruce up Philly Foals Sula to compete for a rosette.
Trouble, that's kind of poorly.
Too much weight.
Too much weight.
And at the gin distillery, there's great excitement over a new flavour.
That's sugar kelp. That's good eating. Make a Korean-style seaweed soup.
I don't think my other half would really appreciate it if I offered him seaweed for tea.